Once upon a time, in a small cheerful town, there lived a curious child named Alex. From a very young age, Alex was fascinated by the world around them, especially the mysterious shadows that seemed to follow everyone around. While other children in town were sometimes wary of the shadows that became long and mysterious as night fell, Alex found them intriguing. One evening, as the sun began to set and the streets were bathed in a golden glow, Alex noticed their own shadow stretching out before them. It waved back enthusiastically when Alex waved at it. "Hello," Alex said to the shadow, giggling at the way it moved. To Alex's surprise, the shadow seemed to nod in response. From that day on, Alex and the shadow were inseparable. Whether playing in the garden, walking to school, or even cozying up for bedtime stories, the shadow was always there. One day at school, during a history lesson, Alex's teacher talked about how people used to tell stories about shadows. Some stories were happy, and some were a little scary. But as Alex listened, they imagined their shadow friend smiling at them, not scary at all. The shadow taught Alex to be brave during thunderstorms when shadows would dance wildly on the walls. It whispered stories of its own, telling about all the wonderful places it had seen while shading its friends from the bright sun. Alex and their shadow had many adventures together. They pretended to be knights fighting dragons under the warm afternoon sun and astronauts exploring the dark corners of the moon. Their favorite time of day was sundown, when the world turned magical, and the shadows grew long and soft. They'd watch the town changing from busy to calm, feeling lucky to have each other. As Alex grew older, the fear of shadows that many held onto seemed silly. After all, shadows were proof of light. They were friends who turned the ordinary into something extraordinary. And so, Alex learned not only to embrace the shadows but to shine brightly alongside them. Alex's shadow, always ready for another adventure, remained a constant reminder that what might seem different or strange could truly be something wonderful. And like Alex, the children in town came to understand that shadows were nothing to fear but friends that made life's adventure a little more mysterious and a lot more fun. They all grew up loving their shadows, each with its story to share in the sunshine and its secrets to whisper by the moonlight. And the shadows, wherever they went, danced happily ever after, always close to their human friends. Once upon a time, in the lush, green meadow of Willow Woods, there lived a timid little bunny named Benny. Benny had soft, fluffy fur the color of freshly fallen snow, but was a bit shy and very careful about everything. He lived with his bunny family in a cozy burrow under an ancient oak tree. Unlike his siblings, Benny was often afraid to hop too far from home. He watched as his brothers and sisters played and chased each other around the meadow. They jumped and frolicked without a care in the world. But Benny, being cautious, sat on the sidelines nibbling on clovers. One bright morning, Benny's big sister, Bella, came racing into the burrow with exciting news. "There's going to be a grand gathering at the pond today. All the animals in the meadow will be there," she squealed, her eyes twinkling with excitement. Benny's heart fluttered like a butterfly in a breeze. He wanted to join the fun, but the thought of leaving the familiar surroundings made him nervous. "What if I get lost?" Benny whispered. "What if something happens?" His mother, with a gentle smile, came to his side and said, "Benny, sometimes we have to be brave and try new things. You might find something wonderful waiting for you." Encouraged by his mother's words, Benny decided to join his siblings. As the bunnies hopped off towards the pond, Benny hesitated but slowly followed them. On their way, they passed through flowering fields and danced under shady trees, finally reaching the pond. It was a magical sight. Ducks waddled by, butterflies fluttered, and even the ever-reserved hedgehogs rolled around in joyful glee. Benny stood still, soaking in the beauty around him, until he saw his sister Bella waving at him to join her by the pond's edge. Just as Benny was gathering the courage to step forward, he heard a rustle in the bushes nearby. Curious, and feeling a spark of courage, Benny approached to see what it was. To his surprise, a little bird was tangled in some branches, chirping for help. Without thinking twice, Benny found his paws at work, carefully freeing the bird. All his nervousness disappeared, replaced by a warm sense of bravery and kindness. Thank you," tweeted the little bird, flapping its wings in delight. Benny felt a rush of pride. From that moment on, Benny wasn't just any bunny, he was known as the brave little bunny who helped save a friend in need. Stepping back to join the others, Benny realized how wonderful it felt to be a part of the world outside his burrow. The sun began to set over Willow Woods, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange. As the bunnies made their way home, Benny hopped happily alongside his siblings, feeling brave and bold. And so, Benny learned, sometimes the smallest steps can lead to the biggest adventures, and being brave can change your life in unexpected ways. And that is how Benny, the timid bunny, found his courage. Once upon a time, in a vibrant and bustling beehive, there lived a little bee named Bibo. Bibo was a young bee with a brave heart and a big imagination. He often heard the older bees talk about the colorful flowers and wide open fields they visited to collect pollen. Bibo was curious and couldn't wait for his first flight outside the hive. Finally, the day arrived when Bibo would have his first adventure. He was a bit nervous, as leaving the hive was a big deal for any bee. As the sun rose, casting a golden glow over the hive, Bibo took a deep breath and wiggled his little wings. "Today is the day, Bibo. You can do it," cheered his friend Leela, who was already an experienced flyer. Bibo smiled, feeling a surge of courage. With a flutter of wings, Bibo stepped to the edge of the hive. Below lay the great green field, speckled with dandelions and daisies swaying in the morning breeze. "Remember, stay close to the flowers and listen to your instincts," advised an elder bee. Bibo nodded and took off with a buzz, his heart pounding with excitement. As he soared higher, the world seemed to open up. He could see the forest in the distance, the sparkling river, and fields stretching far and wide. At first, the wind was a bit strong for Bibo, and he wobbled mid-air. But remembering Leela's encouraging words, he steadied himself and flew toward the patches of flowers. Landing on a bright yellow dandelion, Bibo was amazed at the soft petals and sweet scent. He carefully gathered pollen, just as he had been taught, storing it safely. With each flower he visited, Bibo's confidence grew. He discovered the joy of flying from one bloom to the next and the thrill of seeing other bustling creatures like butterflies flitting around. After a while, having collected plenty of pollen, Bibo realized it was time to return home. As he flew back, the warmth of the sun and the soft buzz of his wings made him smile. When Bibo returned to the hive, he was greeted with cheers from his friends and family. "Hooray for Bibo," they cried, "you did it." Bibo was proud of himself, he had faced his fears and discovered the beauty of the outside world. He looked forward to many more adventures ahead, knowing that his courage and curiosity would lead him to wonderful new places. And from that day on, Bibo told stories of his first flight to all the young bees in the hive, inspiring them with his bravery and the wonders of the world beyond the hive. The end. Once upon a time, in a small cozy town, there was a magical toy store called Toyland. This store looked like any other from the outside, with colorful displays of dolls, action figures, and stuffed animals, but there was something very special about the toys inside. Every night, when the clock struck midnight and the town fell silent, the toys in Toyland came to life. One brave toy, a little teddy bear named Benny, was the leader of the group. Benny always dreamed of going on a grand adventure, beyond the four walls of the store. One evening, as the moon shone brightly over Toyland, Benny gathered all his toy friends. There was Polly the porcelain doll, Rex the roaring dinosaur, and Bleep the robot who could light up the room with his cheerful LED display. "Tonight," Benny announced, "We're going on an adventure to find the hidden kingdom of toys." The toys cheered and clapped their little hands and paws. Polly twirled around gracefully, while Rex let out a mighty roar. Bleep beeped excitedly, flashing different colors. They each packed a small bag with their favorite items. Polly took her tiny umbrella, Rex took a spare set of batteries, and Bleep took a miniature toolkit. At the stroke of midnight, the door of Toyland magically opened, creaking slightly as if whispering them goodbye. Outside, the world was vast and full of wonder. The moon guided them as they ventured through the sleepy town, past the bakery that smelled of fresh bread, and the library where the pages of books whispered old stories. As they trotted along, Benny and his friends came across the enchanted meadow of dreams. The grass here glowed gently and the air was filled with the sweet scent of candy. The toys ran and tumbled, their laughter echoing through the night. But soon, they heard a rustling sound from the bushes. Out came a small, shy creature, a bunny named Clover. "Who are you and where are you going?" the bunny asked with wide, curious eyes. Benny explained their quest to find the hidden kingdom of toys. Clover hopped with excitement. "I know the way, follow me." The toys followed Clover through the winding paths, across a sparkling river, and into a shaded forest. Finally, they reached a grand golden gate, shimmering under the moonlight. It was the entrance to the hidden kingdom of toys. The gates opened, and they were greeted by a magnificent sight. Toy soldiers marched in perfect harmony, musical boxes played sweet tunes, and there were toys as far as the eye could see, all laughing and playing. The king of the hidden kingdom, a wise old puppet named King String, welcomed them warmly. "Any friend of Toyland is a friend of ours," he declared. Benny, Polly, Rex, and Bleep were delighted. They spent the whole night playing games, sharing stories, and making new friends. As dawn approached, it was time to return to Toyland. The toys knew they could return to the hidden kingdom any time, as long as they stayed brave and adventurous at heart. As they tiptoed back into Toyland, the sun rose, painting the sky with shades of gold and pink. The toys returned to their places on the shelves, full of joy from their adventure. From that day on, every night held the promise of another journey, another adventure sparked by the magic of Toyland. Benny the teddy bear knew that adventure was just beyond the door, and one day, perhaps they would explore beyond the hidden kingdom and discover even more wonders of the world. And so, in Toyland, the magic continued, with each toy living happily ever after, ready for their next great adventure. Once upon a time, in a lush, green forest full of tall trees and colorful flowers, there lived a little bird named Charlie. Charlie was no ordinary bird. He was a tiny sparrow with a special gift. Charlie had a beautiful voice, and he loved to sing. But there was one big problem: Charlie was very shy. All the other birds in the forest were bigger and bolder than Charlie. They would chirp and squawk and tweet all day long without a care in the world. Charlie, on the other hand, would only sing when he was sure that no one was around to hear him. Charlie's favorite time to sing was just as the sun rose, when the first light of dawn would peek through the leaves and all the world was still asleep. His melody was sweet and gentle, like a whispering wind, but as soon as he heard another bird awake, he'd stop singing and hide among the branches. One bright morning, as Charlie was singing his secret song, a wise old owl named Oliver heard him. Oliver had flown silently closer and sat on a branch nearby, listening to Charlie's lovely music. When Charlie paused, Oliver hooted softly, trying not to startle him. "Your song is so beautiful, little one." Charlie was surprised to hear Oliver. "Oh, did you really think so?" Charlie whispered, shyly tucking his little head under his wing. "Absolutely," Oliver encouraged. "You have a rare gift, and it should be shared with others. Why do you hide it?" Charlie hesitated and then said, "I'm scared. What if my singing isn't good enough? What if the other birds don't like it?" Oliver gave a kind laugh. "If you always hide behind your fears, you'll never know how much others might enjoy your music. Being yourself takes courage, but it's worth it." Charlie thought long and hard about what Oliver said. The next day, when dawn broke, he took a deep breath and decided to sing his brightest, most beautiful song right from the top of the tallest tree. At first, his voice quivered with fear, but as the notes drifted through the forest, something magical happened. One by one, the other birds stopped to listen. The finches, the robins, the sparrows, and even the squirrels and rabbits gathered. They swayed to his melody, and their hearts filled with joy. When Charlie finished his song, the forest erupted in cheerful chirps and whistles. They cheered Charlie and begged him to sing again. For the first time, Charlie felt the warmth of their acceptance and their admiration. Charlie realized that Oliver was right. From that day on, Charlie sang every morning with his newfound friends, filling the forest with his lovely tunes. Charlie's bravery in revealing his true self taught all the forest creatures an important lesson. Being yourself is the bravest thing you can be, and when you let your true colors shine, you make the world a more beautiful place. And so, in the heart of the forest, Charlie the Sparrow sang his brave song, becoming not just a voice in the crowd, but a melody that inspired everyone to find their own courage to be themselves. The end. Once upon a time, in the land of dinosaurs, there lived a small dinosaur named Dino. Dino was a vibrant green dinosaur with tiny spikes on his back, but despite his colorful appearance, Dino felt a little lonely. You see, Dino didn't have many friends to play with. Dino lived in a lush and beautiful valley with tall trees and lots of flowers, but he often wandered the fields by himself. He would watch the other dinosaurs playing games like tail tag or splashing in the river. Dino wanted to join, but he felt too shy and unsure. One sunny afternoon, as Dino was exploring, he met a wise old tortoise named Toby. Toby had seen many years in the valley and knew everyone there. Toby noticed how Dino was always alone and approached him gently. "Hello, Dino," said Toby with his deep, calming voice. "Why are you always by yourself? Don't you want to play with others?" Dino sighed and looked at his feet. "I do want to play, Toby, but what if they don't like me or if I'm not good at their games?" Toby nodded understandingly. "Making friends can be scary, Dino. But it's also wonderful. Sometimes, you just need to be brave and take the first step. Let me help you." The next day, Toby and Dino met under the big shade of the banyan tree. Toby had gathered some of Dino's fellow dinosaurs. There was Lola the Stegosaurus, who loved painting with leaves, Max the Triceratops, who enjoyed making music, and Beth the Velociraptor, who was the fastest runner in the valley. "Hey, Dino," they all greeted him brightly. Dino waved nervously but smiled. Lola approached him with a leafy paintbrush. "We were just about to start leaf painting. Would you like to join us?" Dino hesitated, then remembered Toby's words. "Sometimes you need to be brave." He took a deep breath and said, "I'd love to." As Dino joined the group, he felt his worries melt away. They all laughed and painted colorful patterns on rocks. Max played a rhythm on some hollow logs, and everyone joined in with claps and stomps. Beth challenged Dino to a fun running race, and although he didn't win, he laughed more than he had ever laughed before. By the end of the day, Dino felt an incredible warmth in his heart. He realized that being brave and taking the first step was the best decision he had ever made. He now had friends who liked him just the way he was. Dino thanked Toby for his wisdom, understanding that with courage and kindness, he could make the valley an even more joyful place. From that day on, Dino was never alone. He played, sang, and had adventures with his new friends, and every time he saw another lonely dinosaur wandering the valley, he remembered what Toby had taught him and offered his friendship. And so, Dino learned that the beauty of making friends was not just about finding a playmate, but about filling the valley and their hearts with happiness and fun, and the valley echoed with the cheerful giggles of the dinosaurs for a very long time. So, dear reader, if you ever feel like Dino, remember to be brave and take the first step towards friendship. You never know what joy awaits you. Once upon a time, in a small and bustling town, lived a young boy named Charlie. Charlie loved bedtime because every night he wore his favorite pajamas, not just any pajamas, but magic pajamas. These pajamas had an extraordinary power. They took him on a new dream adventure every night. One evening, after a day full of schoolwork and playing with friends, Charlie couldn't wait to put on his magic pajamas. As soon as he slipped under the covers and drifted off to sleep, the magic began. This time, his pajamas whisked him away to an ancient kingdom. Charlie found himself in the middle of a grand castle. The castle was more magnificent than anything he had ever imagined, with sparkling towers and flags waving in the gentle breeze. The people in the kingdom were gathered for a royal celebration, and Charlie was treated like a special guest. He met the king, who wore a golden crown that shimmered like the stars. "Welcome, young traveler," the king said. "Your presence is a gift, join us in our festivities." Charlie joined the grand banquet, filled with delicious food and lively music. People danced and celebrated, and Charlie felt like a prince for the evening. But his adventure wasn't over yet. Suddenly, a hush fell over the crowd. A wise old wizard approached Charlie and whispered, "Your pajamas are not just for fun, young Charlie. They are a key to understanding worlds beyond your wildest dreams." The wizard waved his wand, and suddenly Charlie was flying on a magical carpet over mountains and shining seas. He saw dragons soaring through the skies, playful dolphins jumping in the waves, and colorful birds singing sweet melodies. As the night wore on, Charlie collected treasures from each place he visited: a dragon's scale, a shell from the deepest sea, and a feather from the most beautiful bird. When morning light began to creep into Charlie's room, the magic pajamas gently returned him to his bed. He woke up with a smile on his face, holding the items he had gathered from his journey. Every night, the magic pajamas took Charlie to wondrous places where he made new friends and learned amazing things. This secret adventure made bedtime Charlie's favorite part of the day, and he eagerly anticipated the next evening to see where his pajamas would take him next. And so, Charlie continued to explore the endless wonders in the magical worlds, all from the comfort of his own bed, thanks to his extraordinary magic pajamas. Once upon a time, in a lush green jungle, there lived an elephant named Fifi. Fifi was a young elephant with big, floppy ears, a cheerful spirit, and one little quirk: she was incredibly forgetful. Every day, Fifi would wander around the jungle, trying to remember tasks her mother had given her. One sunny morning, Fifi's mother asked her to gather some bananas from the tall trees for breakfast. Excited, Fifi trotted off but soon forgot what she was supposed to do. Instead of grabbing bananas, she ended up playing with the monkeys in the treetops. It wasn't until her tummy rumbled with hunger that she realized she had forgotten the bananas. Upset and worried, Fifi went back to her mother. "I'm sorry, Mom," she said with a sad look in her eyes. Her mother, with a gentle smile, replied, "It's okay, Fifi, we all make mistakes. The important thing is to learn from them and try again." The next day, her mother sent her to fetch water from the river. As Fifi trotted along the path, she kept saying to herself, "Water from the river, water from the river." But halfway there, she stopped to smell the flowers and forgot all about the water. This time, the other jungle animals noticed Fifi looking confused. Her friend Zazu, the wise old parrot, flew down and asked, "Fifi, have you forgotten something again?" Fifi nodded, embarrassed. "No worries," Zazu chirped, "let's retrace your steps. What were you thinking about before you stopped here?" With Zazu's help, Fifi remembered her task. "I was going to get water from the river," she exclaimed. Together, they completed the task, and Fifi returned to her mother with a proud smile and a trunk full of water. As days went by, Fifi learned to use little tricks to help her remember. She would repeat tasks out loud, ask friends for help, and even tie a little vine around her trunk as a reminder. Fifi's friends and family supported her and cheered her on as she grew better at remembering things. One day, the jungle held a big party to celebrate the end of the rainy season. Everyone was given a task to help prepare. Fifi's job was to decorate the jungle clearing with flowers. Zazu whispered, "Remember your tricks," and Fifi did just that. She talked to herself, used a vine on her trunk, and worked with friends. Soon, the clearing was blooming with beautiful flowers. When the party began, everyone admired the lovely decorations. Fifi felt proud and happy. She realized that even though she still forgot things sometimes, she was much better at handling her forgetfulness. Once upon a time, a little girl named Emma was about to start her very first day at a new school. Emma was really nervous. She had butterflies in her tummy just thinking about meeting new people and learning new things. Emma's mom walked her to school. Holding her hand gently, "It's okay to be a little scared," she said, "but remember, everyone is just as nervous as you are. You might just make a friend who feels the same way." When they arrived, the school seemed enormous to Emma. Children were buzzing around, chatting and playing. Emma felt a bit like she was lost in a sea of new faces. Her mom gave her a big hug at the classroom door and whispered, "Have fun, my brave girl." Taking a deep breath, Emma stepped inside her new classroom. Her teacher, Mrs. Green, greeted her with a warm smile. "Hello, Emma. Welcome. Find a seat anywhere you like," said Mrs. Green. Emma looked around the room. There were colorful drawings on the walls and books piled up on shelves. But what caught her eye was a girl sitting alone at a table by the window. She seemed just as shy as Emma felt. Gathering her courage, Emma walked over and said, "Hi, I'm Emma. Can I sit here?" The girl looked up and smiled shyly. "Sure. I'm Mia. I'm new here too." Emma's heart leaped with joy. She wasn't alone after all. Throughout the day, Emma and Mia did everything together. They painted pictures of their favorite animals and built the tallest block tower during playtime. Emma found herself laughing with Mia, and soon enough, they were chatting like they had known each other forever. At lunchtime, they sat down next to a boy named Oliver who was doodling on a napkin. "Can I see what you're drawing?" Emma asked. Oliver turned the napkin around to reveal a funny sketch of a squirrel wearing glasses. "I love drawing," he said, grinning. "That's so cool," Mia replied. "Maybe you can teach us how to draw like that sometime." By the end of the day, Emma had made two wonderful friends. As she walked out of school with Mia and Oliver, she realized something important: school wasn't as scary as she thought. It was a place where she could learn, have adventures, and make new friends. Emma hugged her mom when she saw her waiting outside. "How was it, sweetie?" her mom asked. Emma beamed. "I'm not afraid anymore. I made friends, and I can't wait to go back tomorrow." And from that day onwards, going to school was one of Emma's favorite things to do. The end. Once upon a time, in a small, sleepy village, there was a young girl named Lily. Lily loved to draw. Her sketches were magical in their own way, even though they were just made with an ordinary pencil. Her world was full of shades of gray, as not a single color had graced their little village in years. One day, while playing near the edge of the forest, Lily discovered an unusual paintbrush lying on the ground. The brush had a golden handle carved with mysterious symbols and bristles that shimmered in the sunlight. When Lily picked it up, it felt warm and almost alive. She decided to bring it home and see what wonders it might hold. As soon as she got home, Lily tried using the brush on paper. To her astonishment, vibrant colors flowed from the bristles with ease. The sky was painted in the deepest blue, trees wore coats of emerald green, and flowers dazzled with fiery red and sunny yellow. Even the simple apple in her drawing looked juicy and ripe. Lily was overjoyed and rushed outside to share her discovery. She invited her friends over and handed the brush to Tommy, her best friend. As soon as he touched the brush, a splash of colors erupted from its tip, splattering onto the ground. The gray cobbles transformed, revealing a hidden patchwork of colors beneath. News of Lily's magical brush spread throughout the village. Every child came by to see it, and with each stroke they drew, a new color was born. Ruby reds, oceanic blues, and refreshing greens filled their once dull world. Even the elders, who initially doubted the brush's magic, were enchanted by the dazzling landscapes it created. It's not just the brush that holds magic, Lily realized one evening. It's in us too. The brush just helps us see it. With that thought, Lily knew her mission was to teach everyone how to use their own imagination, stirring colors from within their own hearts. Lily started a small art school under the old oak tree in the village square. She encouraged everyone to draw, paint, and splash colors around. The village soon became a vibrant tapestry woven with creativity and joy. As the years passed, the once sleepy village bloomed into a popular place filled with visitors who came to marvel at the colors and art. Lily grew up to be a renowned artist, and her magical brush story was passed down through generations. While the brush remained a keepsake, the lesson it taught never faded. The true magic of colors begins in one's own heart. And so, the village that was once steeped in shades of gray became known far and wide as the most colorful place in the world, all thanks to a little girl and her extraordinary brush that taught colors. Welcome to Kitchen Science, where we get to explore the wonders of science right in our own kitchen. If you think science can only happen in a laboratory, think again. There are plenty of scientific experiments and principles we can discover using simple kitchen items. So put on your aprons and let's get started. The magic of yeast. Make fluffy bread. One fascinating experiment you can try is making your own bread. For this, you'll need some flour, sugar, salt, water, and one special ingredient: yeast. Yeast is a tiny organism that we can't see with our eyes alone, but it plays a huge role in making bread rise. When you mix yeast with water and a little sugar, the yeast eats the sugar and creates carbon dioxide gas. This gas forms bubbles which get trapped in the dough, making it rise and become fluffy. Turn milk into curds and whey. Another fun project involves turning milk into curds and whey, just like Little Miss Muffet's snack. You'll need milk, preferably whole milk, lemon juice, and a bit of patience. When you heat milk and add some lemon juice, something magical happens. The acid from the lemon juice causes the milk proteins to separate into solid curds and liquid whey. This is an example of a chemical reaction and is the first step in making cheese. Exploding volcano with baking soda and vinegar. One of the most exciting experiments is creating a mini volcano with baking soda and vinegar. All you need is some baking soda, vinegar, and a container that can hold your volcano. When you mix baking soda base with vinegar and acid, they react to produce carbon dioxide gas. This creates lots of fizzing and bubbling, and if you shape your container like a volcano, it looks like an eruption. The power of water. Make a rainbow. You can create a rainbow using only some water and light. Fill a clear glass with water, then place it in sunshine near a wall. Put a piece of white paper in the path of the light where the sun shines through the glass. You should see a rainbow of colors reflecting on the paper. This happens because light is made up of different colors, and when it passes through the water, it gets bent or refracted, splitting into a spectrum of colors we call a rainbow. Kitchen candy science. Make rock candy. If you have a sweet tooth, making rock candy is an experiment that you might love. You will need sugar, water, a few drops of food coloring, and a stick or piece of string. Boil water and mix in plenty of sugar until it dissolves, then add a bit of food coloring for fun. Pour this mixture into a jar and hang your stick or string so that it does not touch the sides. As the water cools, sugar will start to form crystals on the stick, showing you how sugar molecules join to create rock candy. These experiments are a great way to learn about the states of matter, chemical reactions, and even physics, all while having fun in the kitchen. Remember, always have an adult help you, especially with the heating parts of these experiments.